Welcome to the midweek edition of the News in Africa and the World. We begin in the most populous African country, Nigeria, where 50 trafficked Nigerian women have been rescued from Lebanon and returned home. This, according to Nigeria's foreign minister. It is the latest knock-on effect on undocumented Africans in Lebanon in the midst of an economic crisis there. They have all been placed into isolation following their arrival as a precaution against coronavirus. In the last 2 years, thousands of these Nigerian women have been trafficked to Lebanon with promises of better job and better life, but most often end up being exploited as domestic maids or forced into prostitution. A further 19 Nigerians stranded in Lebanon because of COVID-19 lockdowns were also repatriated. Luanda Leaks Angolan businesswoman Isabel dos Santos and her Congolese husband Sindika Dokolo have decided to challenge the freezing of their assets in the context of an investigation for embezzlement of public funds, their lawyers said on Tuesday. They are accused by the court and the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists of looting Angola's coffers for their personal use. Mrs. dos Santos, 47, runs an empire made of numerous companies in the telephone and mining sectors and acquired stakes in other groups including banks in Portugal. She denies any embezzlement and denounces a political witch hunt against her. In Burundi, outgoing President Pierre Nkurunziza has congratulated his disciple, General Evariste Ndayishimiye, who won the 20th May presidential election, seeing in his broad victory the proof of the people's support for the project and values conveyed by the regime. In his Twitter account, he resorted to say, I quote, "We are privileged witnesses of history." The president-elect candidate of the ruling CNDD-FDD party won the presidential election with 86.72% of the vote against 24.19% for his main opponent Agathon Rwasa, according to official figures from the National Independent Electoral Commission, CENI. Agathon Rwasa has denounced an electoral masquerade, a non-credible ballot, and confirmed his intention to refer the matter to the Constitutional Court. Evariste Ndayishimiye is due to be sworn in August for a 7th-term, renewable once at the end of the outgoing president's term. Concerning the coronavirus in the southern African nation, Mozambique, it has registered its first death on a day when there were 15 more cases, raising the total to 209, announced an official source. The National Director of Public Health, Rosa Marlene, at the ministry's daily press conference, said the victim was a 13-year-old child who had suffered from various pre-existing chronic health conditions and had been hospitalized repeatedly. She added her most recent hospitalization was 3 months ago. So far, 71 people are reported by the authorities to have recovered. Out of Africa, French President Emmanuel Macron has announced more than 8 billion euros to keep the country's car industry rolling. It is a key sector that has been affected by the coronavirus pandemic and the 2 months lockdown. The plan includes increased subsidies for buyers of electric and hybrid cars and support for research into hydrogen power and self-driving cars. Mr. Macron said the aim was to relocalize manufacturing in France and to make France the leading country in Europe for the production of clean vehicles with an output target of 1 meter a year by 2025. This is the third major industrial bailout in France during the pandemic. The president portrayed the recovery plan, which includes 5 billion euro of aid for Renault, as a three-way bargain between the state, manufacturers and employees, with companies investing in production on French soil in exchange for government support. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson's government was hit by its first resignation on Tuesday over the controversy surrounding top aide Dominic Cummings' cross-country trip during the coronavirus lockdown. It has to do with Douglas Ross, a junior government minister. Many other MPs, including members of the ruling Conservative Party, have called for Cummings, the Prime Minister's closest aide, to resign or be fired after his 260-mile journey came to light. Boris Johnson will be questioned by senior MPs today later amid continued calls for his top advisor to resign at the Commons Liaison Committee for 90 minutes. Still in Europe, MEPs have urged the European Union to tackle alleged attacks on the rule of law in Poland as a matter of urgency. They say the bloc's core values are under threat from actions by the ruling Conservative Law and Justice Party, PIS. A statement from the European Parliament said MEPs shared concerns over a systematic and continuing attack against judicial independence. But despite launching legal action against Poland on several occasions, the European Council has yet to take any formal action in suspending voting rights. Juan Fernando Lopez, the committee's chairman, presented a draft interim report on the independence of the judiciary in Poland during a European Parliament debate on Monday. And relief is obvious for these Taliban militants as Afghan authorities have freed about 900 prisoners across the country, approximately 600 of them from the notorious Baghram jail near Kabul. It comes as part of a pledge by the Afghan government in response to the Taliban's 3-day ceasefire offer, which began on Sunday. Many expressed joy, hoping it will restore peace in the country in nearly 19 years of war. The Afghan National Security spokesperson wished the ceasefire would be extended so that the process of prisoners' release can move on smoothly and be able to start the face-to-face intra-Afghan talks sooner. Thank you very much for choosing the news to be informed in Africa and the world. Until we meet again, do take care and stay blessed in the company of programs on TBS Television.